All right, good afternoon, everyone. I know it's been about a week since I've been with you, but I do appreciate your patience and understanding as we all just continue to wait for the breakout here with XRP. So, what I would like to do is show you something I've been working on as I believe we're getting close to the next breakout. I'm on a weekly chart here on charts.cointrader.pro. I've been studying um, Gann charting here for a while. I've been applying the principles to different markets and different assets. And I believe I've finally got here some pretty sound reasoning on where time and price might be going. I came across a video or two on GAN analysis, and actually one that was made back before September of last year, before we had the major November breakout. And if you look at that, and then you couple that with a lot of what the riddlers talk about when they talk about 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 6, 9. As best as I can tell, those are allusions to sacred geometry and Gann theory. Um, and so when you study Gann and you like come back here to the major first breakout of XRP and you chart it according to the technical way that you're supposed to chart it with a 45-degree trend angle off the low, and then you match the 1 to 1 to that 45-degree trend angle, you start to find out, say, for example, back here in 2017, you start to see the nature of crypto and how it can run. Let me make sure I've got this loaded correctly because when you mess with, okay, so there's the 45. This little green line is your 45-degree angle, and you want to always line that up with your 1 to 1. And so what you can see is when you do that and you take this Gann here from that recent low and you line that 1 to 1 up with the 45, then it draws out these areas where you see price respecting these different Gann trend angles. And what's very incredible, with most of crypto is that it's very aggressive when it breaks out. And XRP, if you've been in XRP for any length of time, you know that when XRP really breaks out, it it's so bullish that it just kind of obliterates the 45-degree trend angle, which typically is a very bullish trend angle, right? So anytime price stays above the 45-degree angle here, price is considered bullish. Once you have a pivot in the market and it breaks below that 45-degree angle, and then you start to draw again from the recent swing high, then you can, of course, start to Gann chart on the way down and see where price is respecting the different trend angles. What's interesting is how you can see this initial impetus with where XRP broke out in early March of 2017 and how it gave us gave us some of those key market pivot points along the way. Even years later, way over here in like January of 2022, and it was still holding this 2 to 1 trend angle, even though it was below the 1 to 1. You see how how price actually respected this original Gann from way back here in 2017. In fact, if you come over here, you can even see that again, respecting it back here in the middle of 2024. But what I've done is, and what seems to be apparent, is that XRP operates in roughly these 78-week cycles where you have major pivots in the market after 78 weeks. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily because of the Bitcoin halving cycle. I've not dug that much into it and the correlation with Bitcoin, but it looks to me like, and there was a chartist last year that said, look for a major price move sometime in the middle to late September. It was off by a month or two because we didn't really break out until November. But one could argue we actually had the initial, setup move here from July to September, actually. But clearly this cycle has caught the major move that we had from last November. And I don't believe we're done yet. There's still quite a few weeks left here before we get to the end of the 78-week cycle, which is going to bring us to roughly the middle of March of next year. And what I've done is I've left the Gann chart breakout indicator on the 2017 pivot. And then I also had this recent swing low back here in July of 2024. I'm going to also go back here to June because that was also a major market low. And let me show you how I do this. Get your trend angle there, come off that pivot low at around 29 cents. You want to make sure you've got a 45-degree angle here. So let's just go up to the high with that 45-degree angle. And let's overlay again from there as well. This video might be a little bit longer, but I've not been with you for a while, so you're welcome. All right. So as we look at these moves, yeah, this pivot here from June of 2022 really doesn't give us much. It did give us some of the intermediate, as we were continuing to do some sideways accumulation, it gave you some swing levels there. As you can see, middle of July 2023, October 2023, it gave you some areas that you could look at for some correlation. But what I see as far as looking at time and price, what I see is two targets, $12.75 roughly, and $26.39 roughly before March of 2026. I hope I'm right. I hope I've you know, done everything correctly here. I have not used GAN a lot, so that'll be my one defense here. But based on what I understand, um, that's what I'm seeing. The most recent pivot would take us to about that $12.50 area. And then you would also have another correlation up here at 26, which would also align with the original breakout of the 2-to-1 trend angle. So you've got some major confluence there at that $26 price. You also have some confluence on the log chart when you come in and you pull a Fibonacci extension, and you have the 1618 as well, roughly at that $26 price. On this chart, it says about 30 bucks, but that would be a pretty safe zone. So what you're getting is quite a bit of convergence and confirmation that that 26 to $30 area could be pretty significant. So, yeah, I hope we're close to a breakout here with XRP. Bitcoin is doing what it's doing. I'm going to continue to look at even applying Gann theory to Bitcoin, and I'll let you know what I find there. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing as we get ready for this next major leg with XRP. We're either coming up here to tap 1250 before the end of this cycle in March of next year, or we're going to tap $26 by the end or middle of March of next year. So 12 and 26 is what I'm seeing. Um, we'll keep our fingers crossed. And as always, trading is just pretty much speculating on time and price of where things are going to go. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. And if you you're welcome to come back to these charts and go to your weekly chart and chart out the 78-week cycle theory and look at how Gann is giving us some pretty significant pivot points within the market. Um, and like even if you draw Gann from this March 2020 low, let me just take off some of these so you can see how this would have helped you. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm tired today. Um, oh, I would need the 45 angle first. Hold on. Let me get that from the pivot low. There's your 45. Okay. See, and you can even see from that pivot low how when we were above, and of course that cycle in 2020 and 2021 wasn't even technically bullish. It was a corrective move. So that's why you had a lot of price action acceptance both above and below that 45-degree trend angle. But let's see what kind of pivot areas we would have, even looking out from here on that chart. Yeah, you would have some confluence as well in that $12 to $13 area on that 2-to-1 trend angle. So yeah, 12 to 13 is looking pretty strong, and then also that 26 if we get overthrow. Anyway, hope that helps you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know, and hope everybody's doing well. Obviously, as we get more price action moving forward, and there's more to talk about, I'll be, spinning up the daily videos. But appreciate your patience, and make sure to like and subscribe and tick the bell so you're notified when the next video drops. Hope everybody's having a great start to your week. Talk soon.